Okay, so the next one is I don't have a visa appointment. What do I do? So let me ask this in a better way. Now we come to visa appointments. I am struggling to have a visa appointment for my interview. My school start date is nearing. What do I do? And also, what should students do if they don't get visa appointment before their school starts? What should they do? What are the options that students have with regards to visa appointments? So let's start with what do I do if I don't have a visa appointment? Or how do I get a visa appointment? Is there a way I can get a visa appointment?
Yes, so there are multiple ways. So like we've made videos about this, and I remember clearly one of the videos where you talked about this. The first thing we probably should understand is that the whole world is struggling with visa appointment, U.S. visa appointment dates, not just student visas, but visitors visas, and all the categories of non-immigrant visas. Even some immigrant visa queues are getting longer and longer by the day, and primarily it is because of COVID. So, don't sort of expect that the situation is like okay somewhere and it's terrible other places and, that kind of thing. They're all struggling. All the embassies are understaffed. They're all struggling with dates. And that's why there's a choking crowd, of people trying to get dates. So keep that in mind. I say that to say that patience is important. So sometimes you ought to be patient. But practically, how do you move forward? You move forward, there's something called emergency appointment request, right? Which is most embassies would have an option for you to sort of petition them, stating that your case is an emergency. And because it is an emergency, you should be granted an early date appointment. And your petition is going to be reviewed based on the quality and how convincing it is. And you'll be approved for an emergency appointment date, which they would usually give you a gap, maybe like a gap of 3 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever, for you to secure a date if the dates become available. And then through that, you might be able to get appointments. So the emergency appointment is one, and there are other dimensions of it that I will talk about. But just the overall overview of that is one option. The second option is to try other nearby countries. And I say this with some caution because even though that's a valid option to consider, other consulates are also struggling with the same problem, right? The same problem of crowd and people and how to manage all of the requests that are coming in. So you might be able to secure an appointment in a nearby country, but you have to be sure that the country is able to serve you and the country is able to actually interview you. So it's always best to email them ahead of time or phone call them ahead of time and so on and so forth. We've made several videos about the possibility of people going to Abidjan to do that. But even after that, we've also come to learn that Abidjan is crowded now and people are trying Uganda and people are trying Tanzania and other African countries and beyond. But, without saying so much about the complexity of that option, I just want to say that is an option that people can consider. The third option, which I know people have also sort of tried and it has worked, is to basically just wait. Especially if your emergency your start time is not close enough. If your start time is not close enough, you should just basically wait. And I know people who have done a few of that and it has worked, even though that is like a very last resort, a very last option. So the two options that I would give is the emergency request appointment and then maybe considering a nearby country as an option. But I'm sure there are some other details with that. What do you think?
And when it comes to emergency, there are some people who have applied for the emergency appointment. They have been approved, yet they are not getting dates. And that is
I'm aware of that
because the demand is more than the embassy can supply. So the spaces available has already been filled up. So let's take it this way. Assuming from 1st July to August 30th, the consulate in Ghana or the embassy in Ghana can interview 200 students. They have 200 space because the spaces are based on availability of the visa officers, right? So assuming they can contain 200 students, and they have 1,000 applicants, it means that 800 will not get their what do you call it? Their appointment.
The appointments,
yes, what the embassy does time and time is that they open more slots and try to give people the opportunity or to overwork their normal time hours,
their staff
and order. So now the 200 has been taken care of. The embassy has opened 50 slots. These 50 slots, there are 800 people fighting for these 50 slots. So the earlier you enter or the time you enter and the slot is available, it's got first come, first serve. The strongest survive.
Yeah.
So the strategy you have to develop is to constantly check your portal for dates. And when you do that, appointment portal, when you enter in, you don't refresh it, because when you enter in and there's no date, you don't refresh. As soon as you refresh the system, there are some security features of the system that will kick you out. That will assume you are invading the security structures of the portal. Don't refresh, just get back. Then you can go back in 1 hour or in 2 hours time. You enter, there's no date, you get back. You don't keep on clicking and refreshing. That will affect you. You do that during odd hours, maybe early in the morning, late in the afternoon, midnight and all that. A lot of people do the visa appointment checking on their laptops. So assuming you are in a trotro, your laptop is in your bag. There is a date, but because your laptop is in your bag, you cannot check. Meanwhile, you have the opportunity to do it on your phone. Make sure that you go to Google Chrome, and the same process, you can do it on your phone. So it becomes mobile. Wherever you are, anytime you can enter in to see if dates are available. Also, you can team up with friends, right? 3 or 4 people can come together and check regularly among yourselves so that you inform each other when there is a date. There are a lot of visa hunting dates. It's good to join, but assuming you are in a visa hunting date, I'm also hunting for a date. I enter and I find a date. I will pick it first, tell my friend to go and pick before I come to the page and come and broadcast. So only put your focus on hunting groups. Hunting groups may not be useful. Now, let's come to the reality, Paul. The reality is that many people wouldn't get a date before their school starts. And many people will have to either defer their program or lose their scholarship or lose their program.
That's the painful reality.
That is the painful reality. Because some schools will give you the opportunity to defer, others will not.
Other schools.
So
most of them will not.
Will not. So make sure you prepare for this. And when that scenario happens, that shouldn't be the end of your story. That shouldn't be. It is like demotivating and it is worrying, but that should not put you off. That should not take away your effort and your desire to study in the US. Because there are some people who don't have it smoothly as they want. We are not the same people. Sometimes I try to do some kind of pastoral care element in some of these conversations for you to realize that we all have our path. Paul went for his interview one time. I had to go twice. I had a student who had to go 3 times. Some had to even go 4 times. There was a friend of mine who I was coming, we were all coming together. He didn't get his visa, right? But a year later, he won the lottery. Now his pathway to citizenship and permanent residence is higher than myself. So
it's even better than
myself. So everyone has his own pathway. Everyone has his own story. You may go for interview with 10 people, 8, 9 will be approved. You alone wouldn't be approved. That is your story. That is your reality. Try and see how you can live out of that reality and make the best out of it to tell a story. If I hadn't been rejected, I wouldn't have started this YouTube channel. It was after I had been rejected and I've gone through the pains and I realized that I had to share my experience with people like you. And I think this is one of the realities you should prepare yourself for.
Adding, since you added a little bit to the emergency appointment and some of the techniques with that, I hope people listen because this is exactly what you need to do. I want to add a little bit also to traveling to a nearby country and trying to get the appointment through another country. like I said, it is a viable option. It's an option that all of you should consider doing. But also, while you do that, think about the strongest proof of like ties to your country that you can give, because in the first place you are not applying in your country. It's like applying in a third country. So sometimes because of that structure, it is very difficult for you to prove that indeed you are going to return. It is not impossible. I have personally coached 2 people who got it in recent times through Abidjan. So it is very possible. But, there's a way of like sort of thinking about a proof of ties in a different way than like proving ties in the country that you are from and you are attending the interview to. The second thing is how to get there, right? Because you have to think about the logistics of it. You are going to a different country to attend the interview. If you are approved, most likely the visa will not be given to you the same day. It will be given to you 2 or 3 days afterwards. So you have to think about where you would stay, not just before, but after you get approved, so that you can collect your passport and then return back to your country. Then the third thing is to think about the expenses. So don't just take your stuff and say, I'm going to Abidjan. Like, think about the cost involved. Find out where the embassy is. How long would it take you to get there? How are you going to get to the embassy? And if you get there and you are returning back, how much would it cost you to return, and so on and so forth. So think about the logistics of it. A few people have reported about like how difficult it is to get to the embassy in Abidjan. But I'm just putting it out there, even if it's not Abidjan, but it's Tanzania or Uganda or Benin or Liberia or wherever it is important that you know where you are going and you have the necessary amount for it. Also, count your cost. What if you are denied?
Yes.
If you go and you are denied, the money that you spend traveling and everything is completely gone, right? I'm not saying don't do it, but count your costs and ask yourself, is this something that I want to do? If I'm denied, so be it. If I'm accepted, praise God, whatever it is. So count your costs and sort of think through the process before you do it. Don't just do it because everybody is doing it, okay?